Reporting live from Hyper Clubhouse in Atlanta for Hype Plus News, I'm John Ava. Everyone is still dealing with the results of the 2024 presidential election, which has seen Donald Trump winning, thus becoming the current president-elect for the future 47th president of the United States. Now, just like the election results, the country is split when it comes to their reactions, with the Republicans overjoyed with their selected candidate and Democrats being devastated over the loss of theirs. Many have let their feelings known over social media, including one black woman who has now gone viral for calling out black men for the results of the election, which she appears to partly blame them for the Democrats' election loss. The caption for the video would read, "A black woman gets emotional while blaming black men for Kamala Harris' defeat." She states black men have a hatred for black women. Now, just to make sure we can clarify, she doesn't state that black men have a hatred for black women. It was more so she would say that men in general didn't like women.
I really do not like crying on the internet, but I'm not even about to pretend like this some shit that I'm finna be embarrassed about, bro. Like, I ain't never been so devastated behind an election, and it's just like, when you a black woman surrounded by black men, and they saying all this shit like, oh, he's not that bad, and oh, he just hates everyone, bro. Like, it was my brother homeboy I was talking to the other day, a black man, and I found out that he's a Trump supporter. I'm like, he does not like you, and he was like, oh no, he just don't like everybody. What? So that's a good candidate for you? Someone who just hates everybody? Like, what? And crying in my room this morning, my brother gonna come up in here and say, what's wrong with you? Like, he can't think of one possible reason why I would be upset right now, bro. These niggas are so they live on another planet, and it's because none of this shit affects men. That's why men don't talk about nothing that don't directly affect them. If it does not directly affect men, they do not give a. And motherfuckers hating women is the whole reason he got elected in the first place. The first time he got elected, he ran up against a woman. Second time he ran up against a man, and it wasn't even a good candidate, and he lost. He ran up against a woman again, and he won, because y'all just fucking hate women. That's all it is. We couldn't even get a white lady in office. Of course they wouldn't go vote for no fucking black lady. And it's like, people just, either people don't give a fuck, or they're genuinely not grasping how this shit is. And it's just like somebody commented on my last video when I was like in the club, we all crying, talking about, oh, y'all are so dramatic. Dramatic? This is dramatic? Like, this is an extreme underreaction. Dramatic will be marching down to that White House and burning that bitch down. That's dramatic. You don't want to see dramatic. This is nothing. We're literally doomed for the next 4 years at the very least.
Now, after seeing the video, most social media users were not on the woman's side, claiming her argument is factually incorrect. One social media user would respond by writing, "How is it black men's fault? Wasn't it like 80% of black men voted for Kamala? White women are the surprise when we are discussing control of one's body." One more social media user would debunk the woman's theory while offering their own perspective on why Kamala Harris lost the election. "I hope before the election we start ignoring dumb shit like this, because I'd rather not spend the rest of my life watching Democrats lose as we flail around blaming shit the factual numbers don't even support. It's not because of sexism. She was the vice president of a president with a 43% approval rating, while people are starving and ran against a Republican everyone thinks sent them money." Another social media user would jump in the debate by writing, "The sad thing is, even if you showed her the statistics, she still blamed black men, even though black men and women voted Democrat overwhelmingly more than anyone else." Prime example of how media and social media brainwashes people. Professor and comedy hype analyst Marcus Board will go on to chime his reaction to this latest video.
Harris lost, and 71 million people voted for Trump. So now everybody's asking the question of whose fault it is. I got some answers for you. Can't blame black men. Same percentage of black people that voted for the last 7 Democratic candidates voted for Kamala Harris. So it's not that. A lot of people want to blame Latinos right now. They're saying, oh, the Latinos let us down. They believe in racism. That's not true. The reality is a lot of the Latinos are saying this person put forward a vision for the economy and the other party didn't. So like at some point we got to start talking about how the campaign failed to garner the votes, to get people to actually show up and talk about what happened. The other thing people are saying is that we need to blame racism. We need to blame misogyny, which of course, right? Racism and misogyny aren't going anywhere. Racism and misogyny aren't going anywhere. But are we going to really pretend that the Democratic Party is some type of bastion of freedom? Right? So like if people are deciding between one explicitly racist party whose vision does suggest that they don't give a damn about what's going on in the world, or another party that didn't really give you a vision beyond, hey, we're not going to do what they're doing, then yeah, you haven't really sold me on anything. You didn't give me something to believe in. And that's why so few people turned out for this election, for the presidency. That's why we saw sweeping losses in the House and in the Senate, right? And so this idea now that we're living in a country that is suddenly back to racism is the wrong read. What you actually need to be saying is, haven't we been living there the whole time? This country is built on racism. And when racism fails, they have the Senate, they have the Supreme Court, they have the Electoral College, and they have the stock exchange. All these ways to tell you, hey, don't play too much with our money or else we're going to change things. We're going to stop it. We're going to keep you from having anything you want because we get to shape it. So the question we have for you then is, in a settler colony like the United States, the foundation built on chattel slavery, if elections aren't the way to get through, what are? Let me know. Marcus Board here with Comedy Hype. Talk to you soon.
Now, as the final votes for the 2024 presidential election were being counted, voter demographics were released to the public and began circulating on social media. When it comes to sex by race, according to the exit polls reported by NBC News, black men and women are the two largest groups to vote Democrat this past election, with 91% of black women voting blue and 77% of black men doing the same. Now, aside from the Latino women, every other recorded voting demographic would primarily vote Trump, with white men being the largest demographic at 60%. Latino men and white women would follow with 55% and 53% respectively. As the public becomes more familiar with the 2024 voter demographics, folks on social media would realize the voters that were really responsible for Donald Trump's victory. One user on social media would write, "Black people are the only, and I mean only, minority group that didn't disappoint." Another social media user would share a meme of a man laughing with a caption that said, "Latinos and white women watching y'all blame black men." One more user would write, "To think MSM spent all of that time naming, shaming, and blaming black men, and it was Latinos the whole time who deserved that spotlight." With this information, it looks like white and Latino men are the most to blame for Kamala Harris's loss in this election. Not too long ago, blacks for Trump seemed to be a narrative overtaken by mainstream media, even with Barack Obama going as far as calling out black men for hesitating to vote for Harris. This narrative, as you can see, would turn out to be false once the actual numbers were released. So what do you think about this black woman's reaction to Kamala Harris's loss? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoy this story, don't forget you can send us a super thanks by hitting the button below. Stay up to date for the latest news in comedy, culture, and sports by subscribing here to our YouTube channel and follow Hype Plus across all social media. Reporting live from Hyper Clubhouse in Atlanta for Hype Plus News, I'm John Abba.